Thousands of people in Moscow took part in a march on Sunday for the second anniversary of the murder of former opposition leader Boris Nemtsov. Nemtsov, who was a harsh critic of Russian President Vladimir Putin, was shot dead near the Kremlin in 2015. Crowds also laid flowers at the bridge near the spot where he was killed. TRT World's Steve Maud has been following Sunday's march and sent this report.
Well, thousands of people turned up here in central Moscow to commemorate the second anniversary of the death of Boris Nemtsov, of course, who was assassinated, shot several times on a bridge over the Moscow River, just meters from the seat of power here in Russia at the Kremlin. He was a vocal critic of President Vladimir Putin, particularly late in his life on Russia's involvement in Ukraine and also what he perceived as corruption leading up to the Winter Olympic Games in Sochi. Many people we talked to here regard him as a hero.
He
was a really important person for Russia. He helped people when he was in Duma, and he gave his salary to children, and he worked really, really hard. And that's why Putin didn't like him. He was against Putin, and that was why he was killed. And that's my opinion.
It's my country. I have 2 sons and a lot of relatives and friends who have kids. And we want to live in a free country because we deserve it. I think there is no person like Boris Nemtsov.
You know, it wasn't always this way. Boris Nemtsov had a meteoric rise through the political ranks in the 1990s under Russian President Boris Yeltsin at that time. He was a pivotal figure in Russia's move towards a market economy, culminating, of course, in his appointment as a deputy Prime Minister of Russia. All this comes on a day that opposition activist Ildar Dardin is released from jail. He was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison, the first person to be jailed using a 2014 law that punishes repeated breaches of public assembly. He was allegedly beaten in jail. Russia's human rights ombudsman criticizing what they called excessive punishment in the case. Just last week, the Russian Supreme Court ordered that Dardin should be released from prison, and indeed on Sunday, on the same day as this march is taking place, he was indeed released from prison, much to the joy of many of the people gathered here as well.